morning. You're listening to Trusting God at All Times, a daily devotion from Peakland United Methodist Church in Lynchburg, Virginia. I'm Andrew, the deacon here at Peakland. Earlier this week, my dog escaped. You see, we put him on a harness, and then we have a 20-foot lead that sits in our front yard. The lead stays there pretty much all the time. So when he needs to go out, we'll just clip him into the lead, and then he can roam around the front yard as much as he wants. Well, the other day, while my wife and I were both getting ready for work, Ranger somehow managed to pull against the lead in just the right way to get his entire harness to come over his head, and then he just stepped out of it. And Ranger just went out to have an adventure. Now, Ranger has escaped a couple of times, and every time he hasn't actually gotten that far. Sometimes because we figure out he got out very quickly. But oftentimes it's because when Ranger escapes, he tends to like to go walk through other people's yards. You know, the places he's not normally allowed to go. So as my wife and I are frantically looking for him, she hops into the Prius and she drives around our normal walk, see if he's around his walk. I make it up to the edge of my street and have a moment of realization that if Ranger has gotten out, he is either walking much faster than I am, and I will not catch up to him just trying to follow him along paths that he's used to, or he's somewhere behind me in someone's backyard. So I turn around and I start walking back down the street, hoping that I'm right. I only make it about a third of the way down the street when I see the white tail curled up behind a wall that separates two of my neighbors' yards, as he comes trotting out of one of their backyards. As soon as he sees me, he stops, he looks at me, his tail goes back and forth a little bit, and then he comes to meet me in the middle, and I put his harness on, and much to his chagrin, his adventure ends, because while he was just beginning, I needed to get to work. I tell you this story because, for me, this was a horrifying moment. My dog had gotten out again. I'm frantically trying to find him, and for me, all I'm afraid of is that he's walked out into the middle of the road and gotten hit, or that he's run off too far, because he's a hound, and hounds have a tendency of getting away and just being distracted so much that when they finally want to come home, they can be counties away. Yet, for Ranger, this was an adventure. He didn't even go that far. He got 4 houses down the road and just went through their backyard. Although Ranger was not doing anything wrong in his eyes, he was doing things that were dangerous to him and put him at risk whether he knew it or not. As we sit in this time of Lent, I encourage you to join me in reflecting on the things that we sometimes do thinking, oh, it's no big deal. Is it really no big deal? Or are some of those rules, those expectations that God has laid out for us, intentional? When God says that we need to go out and love those on the streets, to care for those in need, is God just saying it as a rule, or is God telling us because it's important for us to actually be following that to bring us all closer together? In the season of penitence, one of the things that we are encouraged and invited to do together is explore the ways that we have failed to be an obedient church and the ways that we can do better tomorrow. Amen.